Hello, everyone. Welcome to HCA 410 for the summer semester of 2017. My name is Chris Gibbons. I'm going to be your instructor for the next 6 weeks in this finance course. So, as many of you who've had me before know, I like to have these welcome videos. I like to talk a little bit about the expectations of the course and how to be successful in the course. So, kick back and relax for about the next 15 minutes or so as we kind of set the foundation for you to be successful in this course over the next 6 weeks. All right, so let's talk about a couple of things. First things first, this course is 6 weeks long, which for those of you that had courses in the first 6 weeks this summer, you know that things go very, very fast with these courses. Unfortunately, there's been some scheduling compression with our summer semester this year, kind of a unique confluence of various things that came together where we essentially lost a week. So summers are normally compressed anyway, but even more so this summer. So what does this mean? This means you have a 6 week class versus maybe a 7 week or our normal 8 week class. I'll be quite honest with you, the 6 week format is not my favorite, but given our various choices of students having excessive overlap with courses, which can cause, because I've done this over the years, a lot of students who are going part-time do not like long overlaps where they're running multiple courses at the same time. This seemed to be our best option of the options available to us was to run the 6 week. So what this means as far as content. Within higher ed, courses are basically weighed upon the amount of credit hours assigned to the course. So that means that the amount of content within that course, they're also assigned by a level of 100, 200, 300 level. And that's kind of the, I guess, the difficulty with the course. So the one thing that's standard, though, is the amount of content. Whether the course is 1 week long or 16 weeks long, if it's 3 credit hours, it's the same amount of content. So we have 3 credit hours of content that we're going to be pushing out in 6 weeks. Now, with that being said, I have taken a look at this course and I have changed some things as far as trying to give you a little bit more of a balanced load as we go through this versus the normal 8 week version of the course that we do. So some assignments were quite frankly eliminated that I thought we could eliminate and still meet the learning objectives, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. The big thing is we must meet the learning objectives and we must meet the amount of content required for the course. I know that we do this with this current form. But know that it's not going to be easy. It will be difficult. You'll be going, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on with this course. Um, Again, it's all driven on content and not weeks. So keep that in mind. That even if it says 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 16 weeks, the content is the same. We just squish it down even more. But this course is very, very doable, and students do very, very well. I would say on average, about 90% of the students get an A in the course. Some years are better than others, but on average, the vast majority of students do very well in the course. And then a good chunk, 5% will get a B, and then the other 5%, something happened. So, and we'll talk about something happening, but keep that in mind that if you pretty much do your assignments, get all of your assignments in, try not to have any zeros in the grade book, you're going to do well in the course. All right, so there's a little bit about the format, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we kind of go through the syllabus walkthrough here. All right, well, let's go ahead and pull that syllabus up and um, kind of go through some of the highlights. Now, one of the things that I like to do is to make sure that I have a hard copy of the syllabus. So if you haven't done so already, please pause the video and print that syllabus out. Staple it and keep it with you. Throw it in your textbook and have that at the ready at all times. Plus, it will help as we do the walkthrough. So pause the video, print out your syllabus. Great. Well, I hope you've come back with that syllabus all printed out, and you got something to write on if you have kind of questions or you want to draw your attention to certain things as I go through the walkthrough here. All right, so contact information is on the top. I do put my cell phone on there, so please don't hesitate to text me. Actually, someone just texted me up while we were a few moments ago. So please do text me. That is my preferred method of communication. And it's quite frankly, the fastest one that I can get back to you. So I really don't, not a big fan of virtual office, though it is in this course and you can use it if you wish, but text messaging is the way to go. Email, I'm okay with that, but you're going to be looking at an even longer delay for an email response. That could be up to two business days. Not a super big fan of that, but that can help with some of the more complex issues if we should have one arise with you as you're going through the course. It is a good tool to have, but generally, I think most things can be handled through text message. Now, when you do text me, please do me a favor because I run multiple courses, have a bunch of students all over the place. Please make sure you identify who you are and what course you're in. That helps me to keep track. So do that. And every time that we have a little exchange, unless it's a rapid fire, we're going back and forth. Um, Please kind of start that process over because I do save the messages, but sometimes I have to scroll up and go, okay, all right, who was that? Okay, it was this person and it was that class. So if there's been a little delay, it's been a couple of weeks or a week or so since we've had a couple of text exchanges. Just start that over with your name and the class. That helps me again to keep on track. All right, so you got all my contact information, and the preferred method of communication with me is text message. Great. All right. Now, course description, again, kind of basic stuff. We're going to be really looking at finance. And of course, this is a finance course. We're going to be looking at finance. What I love about this course, and hopefully you love it too, is that, or at least appreciate it. That's my goal, is that you find some sort of value and appreciation out of the application of finance in the day-to-day operations of healthcare. Accounting, I know, can be rough for folks. It's kind of a foreign language. It's a little bit disconnected um, from some of the day to day that we do, but it is essential. So, accounting is essential for our understanding. Finance is sort of the next evolution of accounting. I think it's the fun part. So, if you've had accounting already, know that that's going to help you with this course. If you haven't had accounting, don't worry. You can still be very successful in this course. It's not a required prerequisite. Nice to have, but not need to have. So don't worry about that. Now, what's the difference between finance and accounting? Again, accounting is more of the fundamentals. It's the foundation to which you make decisions. The exciting part about finance is the decision making application that you're going to be doing. And in healthcare, there's a group of people that don't like to talk about the money. That healthcare is above money. They do this in higher education too. It kind of cracks me up. I say get real because no nurse, no rad tech, no respiratory therapist, no physician is working for free. They all want their paycheck every 2 weeks. Occasionally there's volunteer work. Yes, I get that. But that is very minimal, and usually people don't do it as a lifestyle. Okay, they might do it for a couple of weeks, go to Guatemala, help some people out, that kind of thing. But it doesn't pay the mortgage, it doesn't put your kids through school, it doesn't help you and your family. You're waiting on that paycheck. All of those cash flows, all of that money, for if you are working for healthcare, is driven through financial decisions. So that's for what it is kind of for you personally. Then there's the other part of healthcare. It's the kind of the altruistic part of healthcare, helping others. It's why some of us were drawn to healthcare. It's a wonderful win-win. And it's kind of the same way in higher ed. Geez, I can actually make a living and help other people as well. And they can go on and go forth and do great things themselves or live wonderful healthy lives. Yes, that's the great part about healthcare. It can be kind of stressful, but it's the great part about healthcare. But none of us are doing this in a vacuum. Again, in order to provide that care for patients, It takes facilities. It takes expensive equipment. It takes land. It takes people, a lot of people, and people are the most expensive component out of all of that. And being able to make wise decisions with those financial resources is really what finance is all about. For those of you that have been around in healthcare, especially on the nonprofit side, you may have heard this phrase: no money, no mission. Just because a company or an organization, healthcare organization, is labeled as nonprofit, and there are a vast majority of them are labeled as nonprofit, doesn't mean they're not concerned about money. They're absolutely, even more so, perhaps, concerned about money. I work for one of the largest nonprofit healthcare institutions in the country, Mercy Health. They're a huge organization, and they're a part of Mercy College is a part of that. We are the seventh largest nonprofit healthcare institution in the United States. We are the fourth largest employer in the state of Ohio. We are big. We talk about money every day. Every day. Huge concern. Huge concern. We were founded by the nuns 159 years ago or so. That is our mission, but without the money there, we can't build the hospitals, we can't build the schools, we can't do any of that. So that's a constant concern. Even though we don't have stockholders, like you'll learn about, and you may have learned about in accounting as well, we do answer to stakeholders. So again, no matter what healthcare organization you work for, the finances are absolutely critical. Because if you can't get your finances in order, then you can't carry out your mission. And then what good are you if you cannot bring the nurses, you can't bring the respiratory therapists and the doctors together in a facility to take care of patients? Where are you then? Then the patients suffer. Then hospitals begin to close, which that can happen. So, all right, so there's a little bit about the importance of finance. I hope you like it. I think it's much more exciting, much more relevant to the day-to-day operations, whether you're dealing with a department or dealing with an absolute huge organization. Okay, but that's what we're going to study in this course. When we look kind of the course description, cost control, regulatory factors, really all things finance will be covered within this course. My objective for the course, and we'll talk about our written course objectives, but you're not going to be a finance guru coming out of this course. We're going to be doing some math type things. Don't worry, bring the math anxiety down. I'm going to help you with the math. We got to dabble with the math. I want you to see how things are calculated, how things are done. As a day-to-day manager, you're going to be using a lot of this will be already done for you, and you're going to be making decisions based on that. But you need to know how those things were derived. So we're going to be doing that. But I don't expect you to be a high-level finance person at the end of that, at the end of this course. I want you to have a basic understanding of these finance concepts, especially relevant as an entry-level or mid-level manager. Now, I will say some of you, every class, there's always a small group of people who really get this and are really jazzed and energized by it. That's fantastic. We'll talk a little bit more about kind of next steps and maybe certifications that you want to get as you go through, as you know, if you like to continue your development in the finance realm. But those are just for the folks that are really get excited about it. So just know that you can evolve even beyond this course outside of the program, and I'll talk a little bit about certification in our final weeks of the course if you're interested. All right, so course objectives: get a broad overview of healthcare finance, obtain the knowledge of payment methods in healthcare finance, which insurance always seems to be coming up, gain introductory knowledge of income statements, balance sheets, and financial reporting, which we're going to bring those back a little bit from accounting, just so you have a fundamental knowledge there if you haven't had accounting yet. And then we're going to provide an introduction to financial concepts in healthcare, which include financial management and, again, a little bit of accounting in there. But we're going to really somewhat de-emphasize the accounting within this course. Not absolutely critical for success in this course, and many of you have already had the accounting course. So I think we're all set with that. Textbook this for this course will be Kapinski, okay, who just died. Now, before he just died. But uh, yeah, you're probably going, wow, well, I really didn't like that textbook anyway. Actually, there's an author taking over. His co-author is going to be taking over this book. But this textbook in particular is really the Bible of healthcare finance. It is a great textbook, um, very dense, can be a little difficult, um, but it's about the best one out there. So also, what I elected to do for the program is buying one book for two courses, which is save some students some money. So that's helped too. So it's kind of fit a lot of different missions for us, even though I know many of you might find it a little bit difficult to read. um, it is. It's very dense. It has a lot of material crammed in a very short period of time, but it is doable. It is readable and manageable. All right, and it's a book that that really again is the if you look at across the country, that is kind of the foundational book in healthcare finance. All right, so we got the Kapinski book. Hopefully you have that. If you don't have your textbook, text me. Let me know. I'll put some PDFs in the course news and get you through the first few weeks until you can get that book in hand. But let me know if you don't have the textbook. All right, so let's see what else. We'll skip this part here. This is pretty basics, but please feel free to read that on your own. The important part, grades. So this course will be based out of 1,000 points. You can find the grade breakdown here. Take a look at that. Um, I always tell students that it's a strategy. You may not do well on quizzes. You may not do well on topic papers, topic essays. Uh, Pick your battles, and just make sure that you understand this is a total points. So just approach it from that. The other key thing is make sure you hand in everything. Now, if you notice on here, I do say late work 10% deduction per day. Now, that's my final fallback position. I do accept late work. Just let me know that you're turning it in late. I will be happy to grade it. Now, to be fair to everybody that turns it in on time, late assignments will have a deduction. Am I going to do 10% per day? No, eventually I stop that. I'm not going to wipe out the entire paper or the entire whatever you're handing in. But let's say, for example, and so often the difference between a B and an A or a C and a B or even worse, a D and a C is often one missing assignment where I have a zero in the grade book. And I go, wow, if I just would have had that assignment, if they just would have turned it in, all right, maybe I gave him half the points on it, but that would have pushed him up and over into the next grade category. That is what kills students in letter grades, is usually the zeros that are in the grade book. So do just communicate with me. I'm more than happy to take late work. Again, there's going to be a deduction on points. Is it going to hurt? Yeah, it is going to be a little, but let me tell you, having a zero is devastating. And that really does usually, when I talked about the 5% of students who sometimes don't do so well, it's usually the zeros. Well, it always is. It's the zeros that get them. It's not that they did poorly on every assignment that they turned in and they turned in every assignment. That has never happened where a student has failed the course where they've turned in every assignment. So just keep that in mind. All right. Communicate with me. Let me know. And I'm more than happy to take that late work with a deduction on points to be fair to everybody that did it on time. Grading scale there, we're out of 1,000, so it's easy for you to kind of calculate your final grade. Let's talk about, let's go back up to the points real quickly, and then I'll just quickly review the assignments here. So we have progress journals every week. Those are 100. Those are easy points. Total points for the class are 100. Easy points to get. You're just going to talk to me. Learning activities. Those are kind of our homework. For those of you that had me in accounting, those would be kind of our homework assignment. Um, Make a good attempt. Show me that you're making a good attempt. Document the attempt. Show your work. You tend to get good points on that. Final exam, we'll have a final, it's 150. We're going to have two midterms. So kind of think of them like super quizzes. That'll give you a good base of things or how things are going to go. Actually, looking at that, that's going to be a total of 150 points because each one is 75 points. We're going to have topic essays. You're going to write little mini papers as we're going through the course. Each one of those is 50 points each. Again, just put forth good faith effort, generally about 2 pages in length. Make sure it's coherent, following APA, full points. Okay? And we're going to have a couple of case studies within the course. Again, showing good process, that you take some thought behind it, you're going to do really well on those case studies. All right, so here you'll find more descriptions on what we're actually doing, the topic essays, again, a little mini paper that we'll be doing, learning activities, those will be more of our homework, progress journals, just a quick way for us to touch base, easy points to get, just talk to me, let me know how you're doing. Um, our midterm examinations and our final examination. Okay, so that pretty much covers the walkthrough. What I'd like you to do, but please go through and go look at that syllabus page by page, read at least once, and then text me if you have any questions, and I'll address those in my weekly videos. Now, let's talk a little bit about the weekly videos. You got to watch the weekly videos. So I'm going to do a couple of things in this course. One is I do a week in review. Every week a video will come out. Um, and we'll talk about the assignments for the week. One's actually going to come out this week, so I'm going to do that on Tuesday for this course, okay? But watch the weekend reviews. So many students don't watch, and then they miss the help that I give within there or any changes that we've had with the course. I didn't know you extended the due date for XYZ assignment. Yeah, it was in the weekend review video. I extended the due date. Yeah, you turned it in, but you turned it in a week early. You could have had an extra week. So, if I make changes to the syllabi, all that's going to be in the week in review videos. So make sure you are watching those, okay? Even little cues about extra credit and whatnot are going to be in those week in review videos. Anything that appears in the course news, and that's this section here that you're watching, make sure you're watching any video that will appear in the course news. There's going to be a series that I have called Homework Help. That's going to appear in the course news. Make sure you watch everything, read everything. It just makes your life a lot easier, especially if we have any changes going on with the course, or again, help with various topics. Questions that are going to be answered are going to be happening in the course news. Okay? All right, so that'll help you with being successful in this course. Also, just before we end our little walkthrough here, to be successful, communicate with me. Okay, let me know what's going on. You're going to be able to have an option to do that with the progress journals. Also, for something more immediate, more tactical, more right away, make sure that you text me. All right. Well, that concludes our week in review, or I should say, our walkthrough for the syllabus that hopefully you have printed out. And again, any questions with that syllabus or anything that I've talked about in this introductory video, please text me and I will address that this Tuesday in our week in review for Module 1. All right, and as always, thanks for watching.